All right, talking to Dave from Flaming Wreckage. Dave, thanks for taking the time to have a chat to me today.
No worries, man. Thanks for having us.
Hey, yeah, good to have you on. Hey, wrap up a bit, if you can, of the history of the band. Bit of a recap, if you can. We'll lead up to where you are today.
Yeah, man. Sure. So yeah, band sort of, I guess it started in like 2010. So, um, yeah, like it was a high school sort of passion project at the beginning, and then it's just morphed into what it is now. It's pretty crazy to think about how long we've been doing it for. Lots of lineup changes and stuff along the way, but we've got a real solid group of dudes, and we've had that for the last like 7, 8 years now. So, and yeah, I think we've just gone from strength to strength with the songwriting and cranking out as many releases as we can and just touring as much as we can as well. So um, yeah, man, it's like I've been doing a few interviews and like just talking about like the evolution of the band from the first album up to where we're at now. It's almost like two different bands,
Yeah.
kind of fumbling around at the beginning, figuring out like the direction and what you're going to do. And I think we've really settled on something that defines the band at the moment. And yeah, it's really exciting to be looking forward to the future. So
Hmm. You've mentioned a lot of touring. You've come over here to Adelaide a couple of times, and I've seen you, which has been
yeah,
a very good experience. You've had a go at one of these churches of steel, and what was the other one? New Dead, wasn't
yeah, we've done New Dead.
it? Mm.
Yeah, I remember that Church is a Steel gig because it was I used to work at Young Henry's Brewery, and that was the day after our Christmas party, and I was absolutely fucked. And I remember it was about 40 degrees, and we were playing in that old big shed brewery, literally in a tin shed, and yeah, I thought I was going to die, man, but I got through it. Still good fun.
Good
Yeah,
times.
I love playing in Adelaide. It's always a good crowd there. Yeah, New Dead was a ripper last year. We did that, so hoping to get back there this year for sure.
Yeah. How's the scene in Sydney these days? How are
Yeah, it's
you
pretty
going for
good.
venues? We've been in a bit of danger of some venues closing here. So what's the how's it affecting you over there?
Yeah, I think that's a worldwide
Uh,
problem at the moment. I think like just the way people approach buying tickets for gigs has completely changed since COVID. It's like there's like it's evolved from being like there was nothing on and then there was a million things on, and
hmm,
now like the summers are so concentrated with international bands. It is kind of tough for local bands to sort of cut through.
hmm.
But in Sydney, I think like there's still some venues that are doing really well. You got like Crowbar, obviously, is the main kind of metal spot. Frankie's Pizza having closed, that was definitely a big blow to the scene, I'd say, because that was kind of a place that took on all comers. Like you could be a pretty fresh band looking to cut your teeth, you could play there, but then they had lots of big internationals come through as well, doing secret shows, and like we played there heaps. We did the last ever show there, which was incredible. But that felt like a real home for metal and rock and roll in Sydney, and not having that is a bit of a blow. But there's the Duke, which has kind of taken that mantle a little bit. And there's a lot of kind of smaller venues kicking around at the moment, which is good because it's sort of like around like the free entry sort of vibe, like more of like a bar sort of venue. But yeah, so like it's good, man. And I will say the scene is super strong in terms of like talent. Like for metal here, it's like the last couple of years have been, I think, really exciting because there's such a variation of bands like within the metal sort of realm. Like there's a few bands on our side of the spectrum, but then there's a good like stoner rock and metal scene as well. And like we kind of cross pollinate often. Like we'll try and book a lot of mixed shows. It's good to like play to the different crowds and stuff. So like as a whole, I'd say the scene is really strong. The venue thing is tough, but like I said, I think it's happening everywhere. So yeah, you just got to really protect the venues that we do have, go out to shows and support them as much as you can.
Now, you've been pretty active with recording. Been a couple of years since your last one, but you've got a new one coming up, Terra Inferna, which I
Yeah.
had a bit of a listen to. I was privileged enough to be able to hear that.
Oh,
A good crushing release. Tell us about that.
Yeah, man, I'm super excited to get this one out. It's been it's been over a year since we recorded it. So the last year has just been kind of putting all the pieces together to put it out. And yeah, as you've heard, like it's a step up in every way, I think. It was a pretty grueling but really fun recording process. Like we just used every second that we had available to us to just jam as much as we could in there. We experimented a bit with some different instrumentation that we haven't really done before, which was really exciting. And yeah, it was a really fun process. And we've put 3 singles out now, and yeah, the album comes out in a couple of weeks. So yeah, really looking forward to it.
The different instrumentation. Tell us about that.
Yeah, so we did. This is the 4th album. Is it 4th? No, 3rd. Sorry, 3rd album we've done with Chris Tamelko from Orpheus Omega, Monolith Studios. So we kind of developed this really good relationship with him, not just a working one, but we're really good mates with him as well, which goes much further than just working together in the studio. Like such a great dude, and just love hanging out with him. And that just made the whole process like a lot easier. I know I said it was a little bit grueling, and that's just because we're hard taskmasters and we used every second available. But like working with him is a really chill process. You know, we just made sure that we were really prepared, and that gave us like we did a lot of pre-production, and that gave us the opportunity to spend more time experimenting when it came to actually recording it. So we just like once we had all the like bass layers down, we just went fuck it, like let's throw some extra stuff in. Like there's some sort of 12-string guitar in the background of a couple of songs. There's some lots of synth. It's not like an obvious layer. Like you'll hear it like in sort of some intros and outros here and there, but like songs like Blood and Bone and Hell on Earth, like in the choruses, there's like we use a Roland Juno, which is like this vintage like synth, like analog synth. And man, like it sounds sick. Like it sounds like it's like Blade Runner kind of style, like futuristic, like story. You ran it through a bunch of pedals as well, and it was like so fun to do. And it really just beefs up those massive parts. And I think you'll find like a lot of metal releases like do have a lot of synth going on in the background. And now that we've used it, I think we're going to have to keep doing that because yeah, it really makes it like it's super thick and like just massive sounding. That's the whole vibe of the album. Really, I think like we just wanted to make it as big as possible, and that definitely makes it sound big. So yeah.
With it being recorded like a year ago, I always wondered with bands that have had a release ready to go and it's in the can and you're busting to get out and play it.
Yeah.
How hard has that been on you? Have you been working some of them into some gigs you've been doing, or?
Yeah, we've done a couple. We've played a couple of them, and I think it's good to sort of play a few here and there before it comes out, because like we like to. The live version of the song is often slightly different to the album for us. Like especially on this one, there's a lot of room for like extra jams and sort of extended sections and stuff. So we're doing a bit of that, and yeah, like. We don't play to a click or anything, so it's not exactly the same as the album. So it's a completely different thing. And we, like I said, we spent a lot of time just getting things right and adding a lot of layers and things in the studio. And honestly, like it takes us about the time that like about a year to relearn it all because like. We add so many like layers and guitars, especially we get so carried away with guitar parts. Like there's songs where there's like 6 harmonies going on, and then it comes to playing it live, and you're like, all right, well, how are we actually going to do this? And I really like that part because like translating it to a new live setting is completely different, and you got to work out how to make it sound thick with 2 guitars and all that stuff. So we've basically just been learning it. So yeah, and also with me, like I don't really give any foresight whatsoever to how difficult it's going to be to sing and play it live. Like I'll just go, right, here's the riff and here's the vocals. They sound good together. And sometimes I just completely fuck myself over when it comes to learning. And I'm like, oh no, what have I done? It's so hard. So yeah, it's literally just been us like learning it and fitting it into the set and seeing how it's going to translate live. So it's actually good to have a little bit of time to do that. So, and also, the reality of not being a band on a major label, it's kind of like a year is about how long it takes to release an album by the time you get everything like sorted. So
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
it's a lot of planning and stuff, but you know, it'll be absolutely worth it when it's out.
Just on that, like not being on a major label and adding into the fact that we're way over here in Australia, how difficult has that sort of thing been? Getting CDs pressed for starters, how has that been an issue?
I think there's still a little bit of a wait time, but it's not as bad as it was kind of like just after COVID and stuff. Like that was
Yeah,
just wild. It was like,
yeah,
especially for vinyl, like the wait
yeah,
times were insane for some. Because that's the thing, like bands on the major labels are going to get, they'll
preference.
take
Yeah. Mm.
the preference. So, but on this one, we're working with Grindhead Records. So it's just a small kind of deal. They're a real grassroots DIY label, and they've been awesome, man. Like that they've helped us out with some promo and obviously printing everything. So that's been a massive help. I don't think like it would have been so difficult for us to do it this time around, just like completely independent. Yeah, like printing CDs and stuff and vinyl especially. It's a huge undertaking. Like getting all the art right and yeah, and accounting for all the delays and stuff. So yeah, without them, I think it would have taken even longer to put this one out. So I'm stoked that they were happy to work with us.
Speaking about getting artwork and that, that's a pretty cool cover. It's a bit
Yeah,
it's a bit Obi-Wan versus Anakin
yeah,
scenery, isn't it? Hmm. Who did that?
yeah, yeah. We've got this guy from Brazil. His name's Tadu Levy. I think I'm saying that right. Yeah, he's awesome, man. Like, yeah, he did the whole like layout and everything for us, and a couple of single arts as well. Really easy to work with. It's just the time difference can be a bit challenging with that stuff sometimes, but yeah, it's just like we had I had a like pretty specific vision for that artwork, and he just nailed it. It all ties into the theme of the album, which is it's very dark, and it's like it's all about kind of just like walking through the darkest depths of depression and what your mind can play tricks on you. So you see on the album cover, there's like that guy is like standing on the precipice of just this chasm, and it's all about trying to find a way to get across it to that beam of light on the other side. So that's kind of, and like there's lyrics that ties into as well. It's all kind of, it's a complete package like that. Like Hell on Earth, the last single that we just put out, like that was like a good reference track to get that artwork done. So yeah, I'm really stoked with like it means a lot like to the whole like picture of the album. So I'm stoked on that one.
Right. So the album's coming out very soon. What's the deal? Got some shows lined up for that?
Yeah, so we're just doing two big ones in May and June, just Sydney and Melbourne, and then we're working on some other dates later in the year to hit everywhere else. Um, yeah, so we're doing the Lansdowne in Sydney on the 8th of June, and the Workers Club in Melbourne May 25th, exactly before that one. Yeah, so I'm really looking forward to getting out there and playing these songs live. And we've got like killer lineups for both of those shows. We got In Malice's Wake from Melbourne, which I'm super stoked about because we've been trying to play with those guys for ages, and I know they haven't played in a while, so got them out of their den, and they're going to play with us. So that's super cool. And we've got Bessamora playing with us in Sydney and Step in Blood, young dudes. So yeah, I'm stoked with the lineups we've got, man. It's going to be killer. And they're kind of just like exclusive launch shows, and then a bigger tour will be coming later in the year, which we're booking at the moment, which I'm really excited about. We got some killer stuff locked in for that. So yeah, it's going to be a real busy back half of the year. Like I will say, it's been like I'd love to be like playing right now, but having it's like I said earlier, it's like so uh concentrated with international tours.
Mm, yeah.
Um, I feel like we gave a lot of thought to the timing of it, and it's like touring sort of autumn winter time in Australia is a little bit easier and makes a little bit more sense for where the scene and the industry is at the moment. I think just gives you a bit more space. There's not as many big shows on, and it gives people an opportunity to come out and hopefully without any clashes, like support the Aussie bands that are touring. Like if you're trying to put together something in sort of February, March on your own, like you've got to be pretty big to
Good
cut
luck.
through all of it. Yeah, and that's man. Like, there's been all this chat about festivals getting canned and stuff this week, and it's just like it's people just don't have the disposable income at the moment,
No.
unfortunately, to get that many gigs. So you've got to try and adapt. I think it's pointless sitting back and just whinging about how much it's all changed and stuff. You kind of just got to look at it and try and adapt to the new way, and just try and cut through and give something people give people something that they're not going to get at other gigs. So with that in mind, we're doing some competitions. Like if people pre-order the album, you can win a pass that gets you $100 bar tab. You get to before the doors open. You can have a beer with us. You get a pass. You get a poster signed. So it's all we're trying to go direct to the people, and I think people really connect with that kind of stuff. Like if you're a massive fan of the band, you get to like just sink a beer with them at the gig before anyone else is even in there. That's pretty cool, So we're trying to do a lot of that stuff, and just take it to the people, man.
Yeah, no, good idea. Just on the overseas tours. I mean, I'm old enough to remember a time when fucking no one do it.
Yeah.
I can remember years in the 80s by which overseas band toured. Oh, that was year that so-and-so do it. I mean, now you're having to pick and choose which overseas bands you go and see because you haven't got the fucking cash.
Yeah, that's right. I mean,
kids today are spoiled.
Yeah, but it's just so expensive. So
yeah.
like even Knotfest, like I don't think that was anywhere near sold out. And even though that was quite like a mainstream metal lineup, I would have thought for sure that would have been fine. But it's just, and it's so hard. Like as a punter, you're looking at it just going like, there's so much shit that gets announced every week, it seems, and it just gets to the point where it just kind of washes over you, and you're just like, you just forget about it until the week of. But those big festivals, it's like Splendor in the Grass just got canned. It's like I'm sure that they've got a certain amount of time, like in their budget, they go, right, we need to sell X amount of tickets straight away, first announce, and if they don't do it, it just can't work. Playing catch up permanently.
Be expensive to put on, and the insurance costs and all that sort of bullshit.
Insurance is huge, man. So yeah, it's crazy, but it's it's all the more important right now to go and support like local bands, because I'd love to see a bit more Aussie representation on those kind of festivals across the board, and like throughout different genres of heavy metal, especially.
Just on festivals, how's your memories of the local festivals? We have Churches of Steel, there's Legions of Steel, there's all the other ones all around the place. How do you go with those?
Yeah, they're great, man. Like we've done a bunch of them. It's always a good time. Like we're doing a sick one in Broken Hill in October, which is like on the Mad Max compound.
Fucking hell,
it's gonna be unreal. Like like finding a niche like that is pretty rare. Like something like that, or like Black and Open Air. We've done that a couple of times out in Alice, just outside of Alice. Unreal festival. And like there's so many of them, like just in the major cities as well. And it's just always like a chock-a-block day of just metal. So like I just find like they're probably like the best value, and an opportunity to see like a good amount of Aussie bands that are like active and on the circuit. Like you're not going to get much better. Like New Dead last year, but that was like just the lineup was crazy.
It was good.
Like there's so much death metal. It was mad. Like if that's what you're into, you can just park up for like 10 hours and just get your face blown off. Like
it's just wild, isn't it?
Yeah, and for like $60 or something. So yeah, and like we do have like world class bands in Australia. So like it's supporting those festivals means like a really healthy scene. So yeah, they're the ones we got to keep going out to.
Right, tell us about these YouTube videos. I was watching Ghosts before. That's a ripper,
Yeah.
that one.
Yeah, man. Like that was such a fun day. Again, action packed. We like just got it done in time. But yeah, we just like I just kind of got sick of the whole like metal band standing on a cliff, being tough. It's just been done, and I don't think it's that relatable anymore, unless you're like a power metal band, maybe. But we just wanted to do something that people can relate to, and if you've been in a band for long enough, you would have absolutely played some pretty shit gigs to like not many people, and that was kind of the vibe with this. We were just like, we'll just get someone to play a character who's just a complete punish. You rock up to this venue for gig, and they just chew your ear off, but you have to be nice because he's the only person at your show. And we just got a whole bunch of cameos as well. Like that was Chapo from Mountain was the Death Cult that played that guy. And then we had Timmy from Astro Death working the bar. Nano from Black Reno comes in for 2 seconds. So yeah, it was really fun, man. And it's a completely different direction for us. Like every other video we've done has been quite serious, or we've had like a sort of a plot, or like we're playing in some epic like forest or something. But with like people's reaction, yeah, like the amount of time people spend on a video these days, you got to get them in early. But more to the point, I just wanted to do something that was really fun, and it was actually like a freeing experience to do something that is not like a tough metal band stands in the abyss. It's just like it's just us playing at a bar, and it's super relatable, and it really like all the things that Chapo says in that, all the dialogue they're like actual quotes from people that we've heard across like over the years from playing, especially in regional places in Australia. Because when you do a bunch of them, there's no shortage of stories. Like that's the real Australia, and you always get treated really well in those places because it's often they don't get too many touring bands come through, but also like you never know what you're going to get with a crowd, and I kind of love that. So yeah, that's basically the plot, the idea behind that one, and yeah, it was super fun to do it.
My favourite bit of that video is when he calls his mate and says, "You got to hear this," like
Yeah,
back to the Back to the Future thing, and his mate's at the grave.
yeah.
Uh,
So that's Reese that directed it. Who's like when it cuts to him at the yeah, and like he did that at the last minute because we were like, oh, who are we gonna get to do this little cameo here? And I was like, you should just do it, man. Like do like a Tarantino like appear in your own video kind of thing.
yeah,
So yeah, he just shot that on his own, like after the fact kind of thing. And yeah, a lot of people are saying like that's their favorite part. Like
that is
so
good.
classic. So
All right, what else is coming up?
um yeah, man. So we got pre-orders are live for another week. They close on the 5th of April. If you want to join enter this competition we're running for those Sydney Melbourne shows, get them in and you're going to the draw to win all that stuff. And then yeah, album out April 26th. And then from there we just spread the good word, go play some shows and have a good time.
And you'll come over to Adelaide again sometime soon, won't you?
Yeah, we'll be coming, of course.
Cool, man. Hey, Dave, thanks for having a chat to me this morning about the new Flaming Wreckage album coming out very soon. Good to have you on board.
That's all good, man. Thanks for having us. That's great.
Hey, no worries. One thing I need you to do for us, give us the
Yep.
horns. Give us the horns up in the camera, good man. All right. Good to talk to you, man. Take care. Good luck with the album. And we'll see you down here hopefully very soon.
All right, man. Thanks, dude. See you next time.